Dracula, A Love Story is a 2025 French horror film directed by Luc Besson and stars Caleb Landry Jones, Christoph Waltz, and Zoey Bleu. It's an English language story based on Bram Stoker's novel Yet Again, which is a kind of a brave move after Robert Eggers gives us his masterpiece Nosferatu just over a year ago. And I'll admit that when I first saw the trailer, I was a little confused as to like why Besson was doing this, but also why now. So I looked into it, and what I found was kind of interesting, actually, which was Luc Besson, does not like horror, and he's not even really a fan of Dracula. I mean, in his words, he does like the love story side of Dracula, though. He liked the romanticism aspect, and he felt like there had not been a Dracula movie that embraced that part of the story, and I can respect that. It's still a bold move because we've had a lot of Dracula lately. But the main reason he wanted to make this, really, which I thought was also really cool, it was because he wanted to work with Caleb Landry Jones again. I just love when directors have certain actors that they love working with, and not only love working with, but like push to work more with that actor. That's awesome to me. And apparently he really loved working with him on his film Dogman from 2023, which I hadn't heard of until today. I've actually already ordered it, so I can't wait to watch it. I hope it's not sad. It's got dog in the title, so you cannot make a sad movie with dog in the title if you want me to watch it. And I will admit, like, Caleb Landry Jones is pretty good here. He's got a unique intensity that I don't think I've really seen since Jesse Plemons kind of crossed my radar with Civil War back in 2024. I thought he was a pretty good Dracula, really, both as a young prince and an old vampire. Jones really did have, both pretty well nailed down. They're kind of different characters. And he kept me entertained, even though I didn't really care for the tone of the movie, which, to be fair, is exactly what Besson said it would be, what he wanted it to be. It's really more of like a semi-epic fantasy tragic love story. I know I called it a horror movie at the beginning, and it's really not. There's not a lot of horror to be found here. I mean, like, I guess some of the vampire stuff kind of automatically gives things like a horror feel, but I don't know. Really what it is basically is his personal vision, or personal version, I guess you could say, of Bram Stoker's story, and it's really not for me. I'm not sure who it's for. I mean, it's very stylized, which I normally like, and I do like that here, but not when, Coppola's version exists, Like, that's stylized too, and, I'd much rather watch that over this. I read that the cinematographer was going for certain styles that he was influenced by, but that probably just kind of completely went over my head. To me, it just mostly led to a really choppy, shaky cam looking battle scene. We've seen those before. It really brought me back to like the early 2000s. I'm like, why are we doing this still? The opening scenes were very cheesy and kind of music video looking, and definitely do their job, which is to let the viewer know that Vlad and Elizabeta are very attached to each other. And it's really unlike anything we've seen in a Dracula film, and for good reason. It does show Vlad's humanity, but it only works with this version. This Dracula movie is very much its own thing. So after losing his lover, of course, Vlad, now known as Count Dracula, spends the next 400 years looking for Elizabeta's reincarnation, who he believes is Mina Harker. So you do have the Mina and Jonathan Harker characters here. In this version, Vlad creates a perfume that draws women to him, so he can speed up the process, in finding this woman, because he believes she's out there somewhere, and it's a big world, no internet. And I thought, the perfume thing was an interesting kind of new take on Dracula's seduction powers, or whatever, that he's always had. Or at least certain versions of Dracula, in certain Dracula films, he has that. I have not read Bram Stoker's novel. I probably should, because as big of a Dracula fan as I am, it would really help. Yeah, I don't know. It should be a mandatory read for me. Anyway, so of course, Vlad creates his vampire concubines, or whatever they're called. He also has kind of like CGI little gargoyle henchmen that I thought were really kind of dumb. I don't know whose idea that was, but weird. I guess it again, it fits this movie. Anything in here that you that is unique to this movie, not found in other Dracula movies. As you might not like it, but it does work because everything is this is a version of Dracula, and it's not my version, but it's a version. That said, those little gargoyle creatures really instantly reminded me of Radu's creatures from the Subspecies series. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. But yeah, Jones' Dracula actually to me was like kind of a mixture of Radu himself and Gary Oldman's Dracula too. In many different ways. But we also have the great other characters. We also have the great Christoph Waltz here as the kind of oddball occult researching priest. He's been tracking vampires for a while. I don't think he has a name in this movie for whatever reason. But he is basically the same character, as far as I can tell, that Willem Dafoe played in Robert Eggers' Nosferatu movie. Neither of which were in the Stoker novel, from the little research I've done. But both are essentially Van Helsing. I guess both Eggers and Besson both wanted to do something slightly unique, and again, in this film, these unique oddball choices make sense. And I love Christoph Waltz, man. I always have, but it always bums me out seeing him in anything where he isn't allowed to just completely take over. I have a hard time, I guess, watching movies where he's just like a side character or whatever, but I digress. I guess I would be curious as to who enjoys this movie and why. Me being honest, I'm not going to make fun of you or anything. It was made by a guy who doesn't like horror, and I do sort of see what he was going for. He wanted to make something different. He liked the fact that, the Count was a romantic, essentially, and he saw something there. And again, Caleb Landry Jones' performance is really good. But overall, this is, again, just not my Dracula story. It's never going to be. So I'm giving Dracula a love story a 2.5 out of 4 stars, based mostly on some cool costumes. I liked Vlad's dragon armor. That was awesome. And Caleb Landry Jones' performance. Pretty much that's what I liked about this movie. But I don't see myself watching, this movie again. I'll stick with Coppola's Dracula or Eggers' Nosferatu. That's and the old Dracula stuff. That's all I really need. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you at the multiplex.
Subscribe right now, please.